To learn to live the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Click the bell notification. It's all free. So he finally busted me. I was finally busted. I was finally caught after a year, almost 2 years being on YouTube on the off-grid lifestyle. I've been on YouTube a lot longer when we were nomads, but I was finally busted that I don't live off-grid. It's been a lie, and I really do apologize. I don't know what possessed me to do something like this. I guess I'm going to be accused that I'm only apologizing because I was caught. I don't know. I feel terrible about it. But here's the story. Yesterday, or the day before yesterday, I don't know, several days ago, somebody noticed, actually I said in a video that I have several cans of coffee that have been stockpiling back. It was cheap on sale, so we bought it and I put it on the shelf. But as you know, you can't make coffee unless you have electricity. And he says he did the math, this person who caught me did the math, and with 1,000 watts of solar panels on cloudy days and different things, there's no way I would have enough electricity to make coffee. And man, you're right. Busted. I really should have thought that one through. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have had a better cover story. Although, it's interesting because, you know, I'm pretty sure I saw John Wayne movies and different things where they were making coffee, you know, out on the range without electricity. And, you know, when I was nomads, we didn't have a lot of electricity either, and I had coffee. Camping trips, I used to drink coffee on camping trips, no electricity. I wonder how you could do it now, living off grid without electricity. Oh, I got an idea. You'd buy a camping coffee percolator, you put it on the camp stove. This is our stove. Of course, you could, if you didn't have propane, put it on your cooking surfaces, you know, your camp stove cooking surfaces. Carolyn uses this a lot to cook meals on. So it's interesting how this amazing technology works. It sits there and perks up, and you see that it's pretty well used. I mean, we try to clean it as often as possible, but it stains up pretty quickly. So we use this two times a day, sometimes 3, and admittedly we make what we call foo-foo coffee. Foo-foo coffee is creamer and sugar. We have 1 cup of foo-foo coffee every day, so guilty pleasures. But let me show you how this interesting technology works. I've already made the coffee, so you saw it perking, it's done. So I'm going to shut off the flame, and then we'll bring it over here. Now this is where things get really tricky, is trying to get this thing out. So I have this old washcloth that I use. It gets stained up, it's okay. And you take it and you put it in a pan like that. Now you can see that we use this pan regularly. We don't wash it, it just sits there. It collects coffee. I shouldn't have dumped it. I should have showed you that it was full of coffee. Here's the real challenging part. Trying to keep the coffee warm until you get it all drank. You know, on an electric coffee pot, you sit it on the burner and it stays warm all day, just wasting electricity. But I have found a real neat technology, brand new technology, just been invented like, yeah, I don't know, 50 years ago. It's called a thermos. And with this thing, what it does is it has an insulation body in it, and you pour the coffee in here, it keeps it warm for 24 hours. And then, interesting enough, once I fill this up, then there is enough coffee in the pot for 2 cups. 1 for Carolyn, 1 for me, and then the pot is empty. Yes, I'm being sarcastic. It is absolutely amazing to me. Either one or two things. One, people don't realize that before the year 2000, people actually did things. You know, before the invention of the internet, I don't know when the internet was invented, but I remember playing on it in the mid 90s on AOL. But before that, whatever it was, let's say 1995, there was actually life on Earth. I guess prior to 1995, we lived in caves and we just beat each other over the head and went out there and looked for animals to eat. I don't know. But yeah, you know, there was things out there before. And, you know, it was just strange to me. My grandpa had a thermos just like this. They haven't changed this. Whoa, what is this? It says right there on Stanley since 1913. Wow, man, I'm really shocked. So now what we do is, once this cools off, the basket, see it's a 3-piece assembly, assuming I can get it out without burning myself. I'm one-handed. But anyway, so then we take that coffee once it drains out and we put it in the compost bucket, and that makes great gardening compost. And then you wash the basket and you fill it back up with coffee. You put water in the percolator here. Like you saw that you stick the basket into the coffee pot, you warm it up and it starts percolating. It's really a neat invention. And I'm sure I saw John Wayne using the same technology back, you know, well, of course that was in the 50s and 60s, but you know, you get the idea. It is sad that we live in such a distrusting world that instead of asking the question, hey, how do you make coffee? It's immediately assumed that it's just not true. You can't make coffee. I get this quite often. I guess I understand the point. I mean, I watch this one channel, and young couple, just, you know, beauty and just everything you can imagine, and everything is perfect. Everything. It's just, everything's immaculate. Things are put away perfectly. Here, it's pretty reality. I mean, I got firewood laying all over the place, tarps hanging out all over the place. I got 11 cords of firewood just hanging out all over the place. Trash from the bark and sawdust laying out here. My tools are still laying out here, trying to get it all done. And I'll never get it done. It will always be a chore. So I guess I can understand the skepticism that it's just not possible to live off grid, because you see these channels that, and the thumbnails are pretty scantily clad thumbnails. So you think, this just isn't true. I mean, who goes out there without clothes on in the middle of a snowstorm to do whatever it is they're gonna do, you know, pick up a piece of firewood? This is the reality. This is the way it is. I've done the best I can to clean the place up, but in reality, I got buckets and straw and traps for the raccoons laying out. Not everything's perfectly put away. The camper is a huge eyesore that one of these days I'm going to fix up and maybe put some siding around if I ever get to that point. But it costs money and time, and there's just better things I could do. Of course, one of the biggest things that people complain about is, obviously we're not living off grid because we have power lines over our property. And I've explained this so many times, it's like I'm just constantly repeating myself, and I don't know how to get the point across. There's two reasons why we have power lines, and I wanted power lines on our property. Reason number one, it dropped the price of the property immensely, because I can't build anything on the access area. I forget what you call it, but you got to leave 10 feet access so they can drive through. So I can't build anything here. I can put things there temporarily. So that dropped the price of the property immensely. So what is it that I'm really looking for? A place without power lines, or something that I can afford and actually do? The second reason I thought it was important is, if anything ever happens to me and Carolyn decides she doesn't want to live off solar panels, she has the ability to simply hook up to this power panel. Now you can see that it's not hooked up. There's a bird's nest in it or some sort of nest. So all she has to do is hire an electrician to come and run the wire from here to the house. This was put in here in 1974, and there's no power to it, obviously, because the meter isn't in the meter base. That was a big point to this whole thing, was I wanted to make sure that she could do whatever she wanted if I wasn't around. Now, I just talked to Carolyn the other day, and she says, I don't know why I would ever hook up to the electric, because you've made it where I don't even notice that we live off solar panels. And I really try to make it that easy for her. The problem is the solar panels occasionally need maintenance, so I don't know if she'll always say that. She's got to go out and clean them or do a maintenance charge to the batteries. I don't know if she's going to want to do that. So if something happens to me, Walnut, then she can just hire an electrician. It wouldn't cost, you know, maybe a few $100s to get the house hooked up. I've got the house wired in such a fashion that an electrician could come in here and just hook it up. So that's another example of folks thinking that I'm lying about living off grid. Yeah, one time, and I made a video about this, she says, I'm a psychic with a 100% accuracy rate. I've never been wrong. She said, I had a premonition, or, you know, whatever she called it, that you don't live in the tiny house. She says, I live in a big mansion down the road, and I come here daily to make my videos, and then I go back to the house. Oh man, I don't even understand that. All the work and effort I put into this place is a full-time job. Why would I make 11 cords of firewood, 11 years worth of firewood, if I wasn't going to live here? Seems like a lot of work just to go live someplace else. It's not like YouTube pays millions of dollars for me to do something like that. I've canned all that food, the chicken, you know, we raised chickens, we butchered the chickens, and I've shown you that the canned food is in the house. That's where it stays. So in order to do what she wanted me to do, I would have to transfer the canned food from the mansion over to this house anytime I wanted to make a video about the food. We raise chickens on this property, so I don't know if that means I have to travel from my mansion over to here to take care of the chickens. So I hope I can inspire you to have faith in people again. Thanks for watching.